How y'all doing? Welcome back. Welcome back. Come on in. It's time to talk football again. We're 2 minutes early. I think that's a good thing, because it's supposed to start at 8:05. It's 8:03, and it's not just me. It's my boy Smitty, and we brought back a special guest, man. NFL draft is literally right around the corner, so we had to make sure that we had Clint Goss come back and NFL draft dome, making sure that we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's and with all the signs that the Falcons have done, all the moves, like the signs that they have basically presented, where are the Falcons going for this draft? Like we got to get some kind of insight. So definitely had to bring our draft expert up here just to possibly try to figure out where the Falcons are going. Smitty, how you feeling? Clint, how you doing?
I let the guests go first, man.
I'm
Be
good.
respectful.
I've
Clint,
definitely
go
reached
ahead.
that realm at this point of it's kind of time to do the damn thing as far as the draft. I've about beaten the horse at this point, a day or two out, but I'm doing well. I'll get a little more geeked up tomorrow, and then Thursday during the day I'll be intolerable.
Oh, nah, I feel you though, man. It's almost like what we're gonna do, especially
Totally
like
respect that.
excitement, the excitement of a new GM, really learning like his draft philosophy, and so we can kind of predict where the Falcons may be going in the future. I know in the press conference, I'm not sure if you saw the press conference, but I know one thing that Ian was talking about still remaining flexible. If they have to take five guys, they'll take five guys, but they're always going to be kind of sitting back and listening. And if teams are calling, it's their job to listen, all those different things like that. But it's just so exciting. I mean, Smitty, how you feeling about it?
Hey, man, I'm feeling good, man. We always say on the show, man, just actions speak louder than words. So we'll see, come Thursday. I'm sorry, come Friday, what he's gonna do. Because yeah, he said that he fine with 5 picks, but I've been telling y'all I still don't believe that. Because at the end of the day, you still got a lot of holes to fill on the roster, and you still got a lot of guys on 1 year contracts. So you're gonna need the players to add the depth that you need. Because like we always say, injuries gonna happen. You got to have cap space too.
Definitely.
So it's just interesting to see how it's all gonna play out. Because I'm telling you, Matt Ryan thinking like a quarterback, he
Mm-hmm.
gonna always, give an insight as to how they can get better. So I just don't buy the 5 picks, but I may be wrong, but we'll see.
We'll see. It's only going to be one thing to tell, and that's when we get to really Thursday, Friday. It's so crazy. You're really going to have to watch every night just to make sure I'm now. My thing is the night of the draft, night one. I'm interested to see who may slide to the second round.
Yeah.
It's always somebody that slides through the cracks who should have been taken beforehand. Sometimes there's guys that you'd be like, oh, that's a second and third rounder. Wait, 27 pick of the first round. It just man, so much of a crapshoot. You just don't know.
I
But
think that's the motto of this 48th pick. Should that be remain the first pick for the Falcons? I kind of think that's the motto of somebody that's not supposed to be there. I think you could put it together a list of 5, 6, 7 names that right now we would say, they won't be there at 48, and they hope that one is. Whether that is a Kristen Miller out of Georgia, an Avian Terrell out of Clemson, a Caleb Banks out of Florida, on and on and on. Maybe an offensive tackle. I would think that is kind of the mindset of maybe somebody falls to him that's not supposed to. It's
mm-hmm.
kind of like the old saying of, everybody loves to say, oh, so-and-so's a day two pick. Well, 120 guys can't go day two.
Right.
There's going to be some fallers versus what we're projecting. So, no, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, that's going to be, from just a Falcons perspective, it's going to be sitting there that last 10 picks of Thursday night being like, I don't want to hear that guy's name called. I don't want to hear that guy's name called. I want to at least have a prayer going into tomorrow night. So
Facts.
you're right.
Facts, man. Facts. Before we continue, man, we definitely got to give a shout out to the people who really are the heartbeat of the show, and that is the chat. So shout out to the chat, man. Silk Legacy, what's going on? John Brooks in the chat. Also, King ATL supporter, always in the chat, man. Shout out to you. Robert Blackman, same for you. RB, another one true. Baby Driver, 88, what's going on? Christian Falcons, God is good all the time. Ricky Smith, what's happening? Falcon, what is that? Falcon tick? Either way it goes, man. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, everybody. Dance Machine. Marvin, everybody, man. We appreciate everybody for pulling up. And of course, this is A1 Forever, Smitty Sports Machine, and NFL Draft Dome. Make sure you guys are checking out Clint's page. He is on YouTube now. So make sure that you're checking out NFL Draft Dome. It's where you can get the exclusive content from Clint himself. A very knowledgeable guy, especially when it comes to scouting talent. Again, make sure you're checking him out. And I'm pretty sure he's got a bunch of stuff coming, coming up, and probably going to be talking about the draft anyway. So just make sure that y'all checking it out. But we have a topic, kind of like an icebreaker, that we want to talk about before we get into guys that we like for the Falcons and whatnot. It's been a report that came out today about possible, how Bleacher Report like to throw out scenarios. And it's so funny. And the reason why we're bringing it up is because it was talked about right here with Smitty Sports Machine and A1 Forever Sports. We talked about the quarterback situation and the possibility of a Joe Burrow. And there is a possibility that if the Cincinnati Bengals have a bad season, you never know. Joe Burrow could want out. And they had a list of 5 teams that could potentially trade for Joe Burrow. And of course, the Dirty Birds were number 2, actually, the number 2 team that Bleacher Report brought out. So we want to talk about some quarterback news and talking about Joe Burrow. Clint, I really want to know your expertise on this subject as far as the Falcons. If things are not looking well as for the quarterback room here, and if things are looking very bleak up in Cincinnati, can you see a match made in heaven to where Joe Burrow is an Atlanta Falcon? I know it's so crazy to talk about, but my goodness, just the possibility. Because let me add this. Falcons will have projected $148 million in cap space next year, potentially.
Yeah, as you'll see me throughout the episode, let me fix my glasses that the 1-year-old sat on this morning and broke a little bit. But this notion did leave me a little cross-eyed. No, as far as Burrow, I do think there is a world, if they don't take any kind of step this year, he's going to throw his hands up at Cincinnati. And I think that is even more echoed with this Dexter Lawrence trade. Their front office has told us that they're trying to win right now. It's like you give up a 10th pick for a 29 going on 30-year-old coming off injury that you're paying $28 million a year on a 1-year contract, whether or not you agree with it. They're trying to win right now. They think that that's along the lines of like a player away there. This is also them greasing Burrow as far as showing them making some moves, particularly after letting Trey Hendrickson walk into free agency, and not just that, going to their Darth Vader. This is like us losing our star pass rusher to the Saints for them, him winding up with the Ravens. So having said all that, I do think there's a world he's elsewhere after this year. Looking at Atlanta, we would just have to get over this fear of having spent the big check on a Kirk Cousins in the aftermath of that. This is a different situation.
Good point.
We'll have to see as far as the volume of quarterbacks at the top of the first round, because it's like this. If the quarterback play between Penix and Tua goes no better this year, then we're sitting here at the end of the year talking about who we're getting next. We're going to be picking in the top half of the draft.
Right.
And if that is the case, and maybe the volume isn't as much as we project right now, and they want to go after somebody, what the hell? I think, too, you got to lean back on what Cunningham has done. The whole motto of the trades he's made, like Sidney Brown, the trade he made in the past few days for Mason Smith involving Rook, and then the free agency, the additions we had along the lines of a Christian Harris, a Channing Tindall, a Zacchaeus, a Jahan Dotson. It's all that foundation of the team. It's all that 23 to 53, the depth of it, that he's inadvertently told you he thought Fontenot didn't do a good job there. If he feels comfortable with that, and that is set, and then you're sitting there with all this cap space, you got to spend it somewhere. Yes, you need to go extend Bijan. Yes, you need to go extend Drake London. TBD as far as what happens with Pitts, and I'm sure we'll get to that here later on in the episode. Right. But, I'll say this. F it. I'd go for it. Yeah. What the hell? I mean, my other comment, less football related. Could you imagine Joe Burrow's swag in Atlanta? Oh my God.
Bro, absolutely
He'd be
impeccable.
rolling up with some of those old cool glasses and his little model looks in Atlanta. Oh my God.
The game day walkthrough would always be on Burrow. They'd be like, okay, what is Burrow wearing today?
A little bit of a different attire and a little bit of different vibe than the Kirk Cousins what we saw coming out of him. But no, I mean, I totally get them throwing the Falcons name in there, and that's going to be common. It has been for the last few years. Anytime some big quarterback name comes up,
right.
I mean, I'll say this. I think the Bengals are about to go be some serious contender and go deep? No.
I don't think so.
I don't.
Yeah. I agree.
I think that is one of, and this isn't even me trying to be shady toward him. I think that's one of the worst front offices in the NFL. Cool. And I think when you have that,
I agree 200%.
I think when you have that, it's going to be tough to do it, even with him, and all the talent they have, particularly offensively. But we'll see. I mean, but no, I think it'd be awesome. I think it's fair to mention his name in here. Would I lean thinking that if they look up and they just say, we can't keep Penix healthy, we haven't seen the step we want, we don't want to commit to a long-term, we need to go fresh and reset a quarterback. I would imagine them more along the lines, particularly with Ryan wanting to go young and develop a guy if there's the volume in the draft. But if they look up and they say, we think we're out of that range to get somebody or nobody lights us up, who the hell else would you go after but this guy? You've got, this is the last thing I'd say. If you don't go for it in the draft, you got to go for a big swing.
There you go.
We go through this year and we don't get in the playoffs and we come in second or third in the division and we win 8-9 games and we're kind of coming up on contract time for the two best players on the team on offense. And we kind of got to make a statement with this new regime, yada, yada, yada. And we've got all this cash, all these draft picks. It's like, no, and I will speak for us here in this moment. People are sick of this.
Yes.
It's like my season ticket rep calling me last night and being like, hey, you've got some credit on your account. I saw you didn't re-up last year. Is there any reason for that? And I frankly said, yeah, I got a 3 and a 1-year-old. Needed to be home a little more. And I'm tired of being a losing team 8 years in a row.
Yes.
Yeah.
We got so many friends. Well, we have so many friends who are season ticket holders that, just send us a text message. It's like, I am so sick and tired of this. And, those PSL, man, those things, you got to, it's like once you start investing into it, it's almost like a timeshare. It's hard. You can't really get rid of it. So you're going to have to pay the money or you're going to lose the money. So it's like, man. And to have all those straight seasons of losing, of almost getting there. And that's why also this Joe Burrow thing, I think is so interesting. If Cincinnati bombs out again in this year, how much do you want Joe to take? Because he already has already started to allude a little bit like, hey, if I'm not having fun, what's the point? So it's like little things like that, little subtle things that you have to pay attention to. And it could be nothing. It can be small. It could be absolutely nothing. But at the same time, you still got to keep it in the back of your mind. Everybody plays this game to win. Do they think they're going to win all the time? I think that's foolish to think that. But at the same time, these guys want to win. You don't think Joe Burrow wants to win? You don't think he's thinking about the time where he went to the Super Bowl? You don't think about how he's figuring out how to get back? And if you have a team that is pretty much underachieving because of the quarterback position, I can definitely see the Atlanta Falcons at least poaching around, because think about this too. Kevin Stefanski knows Joe Burrow very well. He's had to coach against him plenty of times. And I can see Ian Cunningham again. He didn't draft Michael Penix, just kind of brought in Tua to see what's going on. Like Clint, first of all, you perfectly outlined all the things that have to go wrong in order to even get to that situation for Burrow, which would be absolutely terrible, because that means your quarterback situation didn't work. You're still not getting over the hump. It's almost like you're not winning the games within the games. All the situation, kicking issues, it got to be something to keep you down. And if we are not making the playoffs yet again, or let me throw this out there. Say we do make the playoffs. Could it be a situation to where we make the playoffs, but the quarterback position still somehow, some way held us back, and now the Falcons are like, okay, we are in the playoffs. Hypothetically speaking, Tua didn't get it done. Penix is, we are right there, y'all. We are right there. Go get Joe Burrow and have him quarterback this team. Next thing you know, you never know where the Falcons could end up. I mean, am I right, Smitty?
Absolutely right, man. Before I go on, please go to A1 Forever, Smitty Sports Machine, drop them super chats, get them questions in, man, because I know y'all going to have some questions on a lot of these topics we go to. But, Clint, I'm going to tell you, I talked about this about 3-4 months ago because some reason, I don't know why, it just popped in my head like things always do. Just like y'all said, y'all put it to a T. You're looking at the quarterback position for the future. And just like I just said earlier, Matt Ryan is the president of football, and what position does he play? Quarterback. He knows what it takes to get to the Super Bowl. And I'm looking back. I tell y'all all the time, F them picks. This is one of those situations I'm going to still feel like that. Because what happened when Matthew Stafford finally got a mediocre Detroit and goes to a team that wasn't scared to build around him, put weapons around him, and give up their future to do it. And what happens shortly after that? They get to a Super Bowl. So sometimes elite quarterbacks have to make a move, go to a team that's willing to put the right weapons around them to get to where they need to be. And right now, the reason why Joe Burrow makes even more sense is what the Falcons have done on defense. Their defense is probably 1 or 2 pieces away from being a top 5 defense for the next 4 to 5 years. And like you said, true, you can't pay everybody with Bijan and Drake coming up. Well, Drake comes up after this year because this is his 5th year option. Right. When you look at it in that aspect, how else can you get over the top and getting the best out of these players if you don't have the right quarterback in place? And it's true, they may make the playoffs with one of these quarterbacks, but one of these quarterbacks may not get them over the hump. And it's no knock to either one of them because they could be good enough to play, but Joe Burrow could take it to another level. And I could see a Joe Montana to Kansas City type situation like back in the day. He didn't skip a beat. He just didn't have the right talent in Kansas City. But Joe Burrow in Atlanta with Bijan and Drake and Jahan Dotson, who's on a 2-year contract, stagnant, good offensive line, good run game. It's just a match made in heaven, and it just makes so much sense to me. I'm going to just keep it real like I always have, and this came out my mouth. Y'all heard it here first 3-4 months ago, and I'm going to stick to what I said.
Yeah, if it makes sense, I'm definitely doing Burrow. I mean, even with the money, I believe the Falcons will have to just take on about 35 mil with the 25, and I think he has the 10 million roster bonus. I'm just saying that's very doable, especially with the cap space predicted, and you would still be able to make other moves. Now it was a good comment. I want to make sure I don't miss it. Yeah, Huey, I got you right here.
Go ahead.
Huey said, I really don't see why Joe Burrow would leave a team with his best friend in Jamar Chase that can't make the playoffs. Why would he sign with Atlanta, who have made the playoffs less recently? Well, my thing is sometimes you just get tired of the same old thing. In my opinion, like you've gotten that taste. It's similar like with Jesse Bates. Jesse Bates went to the Super Bowl, but then he left the Cincinnati Bengals to come to the Atlanta Falcons to help build something here. There could be something there, maybe they're still friends. Maybe he can talk to him. I just think sometimes you just need a guy that needs a change of scenery. And if you are a businessman too, looking at yourself as a business, you got to think about, okay, is the offensive line for the Bengals better than the Atlanta Falcons? I still, even with Caleb McGarry retiring, I still say no. Is the weapons better? Yes. But what is it, like you just said, if you're not even getting to the playoffs, if you can't beat the Ravens, if you can't beat the Steelers, if the Browns are nipping at your heels here and there? So it's like, again, sometimes let
me ask you this. Let me answer this right quick. And I'm going to just put it just as simple as day. And I'm going to just tell y'all like this. when are you going to get tired of building at the quarterback position? Look at the quarterback position after Matt Ryan left. Look at the four quarterback. Desmond Ritter wasn't the answer. Tyler Heineke wasn't the answer. Marcus Mariota wasn't the answer. Then you go back to a rookie guy again. Well, Kirk Cousins wasn't the answer. We know that. He was old and over the hill. Then you look at Mike Penix. He hadn't really got a fair shot. So do you really want to go into 2027 with a rookie quarterback? Starting over again with the offense you put together? No, you go find a veteran. One that you can now afford that has put up the numbers in his career and been to a Super Bowl, so he know what it takes to get there. You probably put in a competent offensive staff finally to groom and develop a quarterback. Why step backwards into going a young route again? That just doesn't make sense to me. So I'm seeing what Joe Burrow is worth. Like I said, forget them picks. I'm gonna stick with it. If the Rams can do it, the Falcons can do it. Now, I'm not gonna lie. They had Aaron Donald, true enough. Probably one of the best defensive players ever to play the game. But the Falcons are putting together a nice defense. Starting last year with 57 sacks. Yeah, they got to work on the run game. But you put a veteran in place with the offensive weapons you have, it just makes so much sense. I would not go back the rookie route again unless I'm just rebuilding from the ground up and this is still a win now team. It just doesn't make sense.
I think it lines up too with what you've seen Cunningham do. He's doing more of the build from the ground up now, anticipating 2027. So the 2027 capacity has to be the jump year for him. Also looking at the window of his predecessor and the short time frame that Raw got in terms of Kevin Stefanski. I think so much of that timeline was sped up because of Josh Blank, not even just Arthur Blank. I think Josh Blank has looked at it in terms of promoting letting go Raw. Because, yeah, Arthur Blank might have a few more years doing this. Josh Blank could be the owner of this team for the next 40, 50 years.
Yep.
It's like he's got to go for it in the now. I think, too. Sorry, I thought I was having the hiccups there for a second. Yeah, no. He's got to go for it in the now, and I think that would be sped up. And I think as far as Stefanski and Ian Cunningham, it's kind of like they're not going to get that many swings at it. They're not going to get that many swings at it. And two, you got to look at the window, most importantly, of Bijan Robinson. It's like Bijan is the best running back in the league, but he's going into his fourth year. It's like there's only going to be so many swings at it with him being what this runs through. I completely agree. And I'd go back to the comment from earlier as far as Burrow and his best friend with Jamar Chase.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not an NFL quarterback, never been an NFL quarterback, never going to be an NFL quarterback. But I do think about this from someone similarly aged to Burrow as a man. I love my best buddy, but I'd leave his ass in Cincinnati if I could go somewhere else and go win a Super Bowl. That phone can dial, man. He got plenty of money to go see him, and they've spent plenty of time together going all the way back to the time at LSU. This is business moves. And going back to the Blank comment, I think that is another advantage you have. And then that is such a well-renowned ownership here in Atlanta in terms of their commitment to spending versus the complete antithesis of that in Cincinnati. I wouldn't read too much into that. I mean, I get it, but it's also Burrow's a winner. He's not here for hugs and kisses and let's go have a good time. And that's somebody that can make friends anywhere. It's kind of like when my old man dropped me off at college. I didn't know a soul there. And I said to him, I'm the kid that's going to school and doesn't know anybody. And he said, yeah, of all my children that I got to worry about being able to make friends, that ain't you, son. It's like, yeah, I think Burrow will be all right.
Max.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And think about this, too. If our defense capitalizes off of, basically having back-to-back seasons of being good, what guys wouldn't want to come play not only for that defense, but on the offensive end, knowing that, hey, we go out there, do our jobs, the defense go out there and do their job. We can really have something special. And I'm with you on that too, Clint. Hey, man, I got best friends, but if we on the same team and it's like, hey, I can go somewhere else and I can get some hardware, make a legacy, to have my name in the record books in a good way. The phone work, bro. You know what he's saying? We got the offseason.
Not only that, Chris, if Joe Burrow leaves, a couple years down the road, Jamar Chase is still a valuable asset. He's going to come right along with him. It just happens like that sometimes. Miss Drea, thank you for the donation. Truly appreciate it. She said in the division, if I'm Joy Burrow, I'm all over it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's think about it. And the key card here is not Ian Cunningham. It's Matt Ryan, the former quarterback. He's gonna always think like a quarterback when making decisions. If Ian says, "Well, I'm building this kind of way," Matt gonna say, "Hey, do you want to win a Super Bowl or not?" What is the most important position?
They've shown you that they're getting that input from Ryan as far as his past quarterback play. You just saw the quote this week talking about him giving Cunningham and Stefanski a list of cornerbacks in this draft that he, quote, in terms of watching the tape, wouldn't want to throw at. So it's not even the like, oh, we're not listening to that. They've told you that they're listening to that, and they should.
Exactly.
Why wouldn't you? That's part of the reason he's here, his acumen, as far as what it takes to win in Atlanta and what he's seen and what he prefers. So, no, I mean, that they can't even say that argument of, oh, well, we don't have that influence. Yeah, they do. They've confirmed it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And, of course, the last thing that I have just to add to this would be, of course, Joe Burrow would have to choose Atlanta with the no trade clause because he would have to waive that for the Falcons as well, regardless. So Joe Burrow would have to tell the Bengals, hey, look, it's been real. It's been lovely, but I'm out.
Yeah.
In fact,
and I see y'all in the chat saying that he's always injured, but you got to think all their money is going to their offices, skill positions. They didn't want to pay Trey Hendrickson. He's finally gone. They just traded another big contract. They didn't want to pay the guy that was putting sacks on the board, which didn't make sense to me. But now, yeah, he may have been hurt in the past, but like I said earlier, better offensive line, probably better talent around him, and there's no knock to Jamar Chase or T. Higgins. But all around talent with a star running back, I rest my case. But go ahead.
No, facts, man. I mean, one thing about it, I feel like we all made some good points for Burrow. We didn't mean to really just dive all the way into Burrow, but I'm glad that we did, say like as far as the deep dive into what could happen, how he could be a Falcon, and of course, it's going to come down to money, of course, fit. Does Burrow want to come to Atlanta? All those good things. But these are fun conversations to have, just, for the sake of it as well. But we'll see what happens come this time next year. Hopefully, to be honest, I hope that our quarterback situation works out to where we don't even have to think about Burrow. But, of course, we know it's not a perfect world. So we'll see what happens with that. But, Clint, okay, man, with all the moves that the Atlanta Falcons have made as just start of the offseason and then leading up to now, even down to the trade, I really feel like that the Falcons have set themselves up for a best player available. But, again, like, regardless, who could be that player realistically to fall at 48? I mean, I know myself, I like a Caden McDonald, but I know Smitty, he's been telling me, Chris, I'm telling you, man, that man is not going to be that 48. And I kind of believe that just because he's a run stopper. But, I mean, he has been linked to the Falcons if so happened that he is able to fall. Of course, you got the Christian Millers, you got the Lee Hunter. But does it mean just because we traded for a guy, does that mean that we're not necessarily looking at defensive tackle at 48, you don't think?
No, I think at 48, it's still very much in play. I just think that going back to kind of the best player available argument, Mason Smith makes it where they don't have to force it at defensive tackle. If there is a run and they look up and Caden McDonald's gone, believe he will be. They look up and Kristen Miller's gone. I'd lean toward I don't think he makes it, but if he does, he would be the guy. Lee Hunter and there on and so forth. I think they're also setting themselves up, too, for hitting sweet spots at the positions of needs in terms of round. It's like, for example, I think third round's the sweet spot for the receiver. So they don't have to do it. If it doesn't line up in the second round, they're lined up to go do it in the third. I think the sweet spot for corner could be at that fourth round pick. Same argument. But at the same time, they've set themselves up with those late day 3 picks to get some consolation. I've liked some of those visits that they've had at corner. Latrell McCutcheon Sr. out of Houston, 99th percentile kind of athlete there. A lot of production. Love how much – I mean, they've had 4 visits and points of contact with Georgia Tech corner Amari Harvey, 5'11", 180. That kid will knock the hell out of you. He is physical. I'll get out. I think he'd be a great fit. They've looked at a Cyrus Allen out of Cincinnati at receiver, who I think could go to that 4th round spot. Again, if it doesn't line up at the 2nd, they can't say no to somebody in the 3rd. It's like, this has been kind of one of these themes with this new regime, and it's what they should be doing of, yes, this is plan A, but if we don't get to go with plan A, we're not screwed at point B. Not putting all of their eggs in one basket. But going back to 48, and like I said earlier in the episode, I really do think the mindset is, who can be somebody that falls that we can't say no to because we didn't think they'd be here. I think the dream is Christian Miller out of Georgia, 6'4", 321. He does have the girth to play at a nose tackle spot, but also has the speed and the versatility to play 3 tech and beyond. You saw that with his time at Georgia. I also think that 321 was a hair elevated. I think he was closer to 310, 315 in terms of his time in Athens. I mean, he is svelte, man. I mean, there looks like there's no bad weight on this guy. He's a freak human being. I think that'd be a dream scenario. Looking at corner, it's like, if you'd asked me a month ago, I'd have said you were stoned if you said Avian Terrell could be there at 48. But this tough pre-draft he's had, and this happens every year. This happens every year. You're going to have somebody that's battling a hamstring. You're going to have somebody that just had a bad workout day. You're going to have somebody that's getting a little lost in a crowd as far as there being other risers at the position. Mentioning Terrell and corner, it's like, I think Chris Johnson out of San Diego State's been the real riser there. I think he goes round 1. I think he's going Thursday night. So all that to say, as far as like a corner 2, corner 3 of what we thought versus what happens, I don't think he goes any later than corner 3. Well, there's only so many corners that can go in the first top 50 picks, particularly when we follow patterns historically. I think that is another valley that could happen with it. Right. I said receiver being a sweet spot at the 3rd round. The last day of 30 visits, who do they have in as their final 30 visit? I've been saying this for months. Alabama wide receiver Jeremy Bernard.
Yes, sir. My first one.
I got the league for 7, 8, 10 years. He's just 7 and 8s across the board in every aspect. 6'2", 204 pounds. Great high pointer, physical, can stretch the field. Has the familiarity with Penix going back to their time at Washington. I mean, this guy, even at a young age, had the ability and the production to get serious snaps in a receiver room that had Denzel Boston, who's in this draft and first round discussions, Jalen McMillan, who's with Tampa and playing very well for them for the value, Jalen Polk, who has not really hit for the Patriots, but I mean, he was a top 40 pick.
He was.
And then lastly, Roma Dunze was a top 10 pick in his own right. I mean, to just be playing at all, I think that goes back to Bernard. I mean, yeah, he's there at 48. I think that's a great value. Somebody that can legitimately come and battle with Dotson for receiver 2. Worst case scenario, he's receiver 3 in the meantime. I think he'd beat out Dotson for that receiver 2 role, particularly projecting into the future and having a longer tenured contract. They've got it at every spot. And then lastly, because I've just said 3 defensive spots, and I don't think one of these tackles goes because I think there's going to be a real run in the first round. But, dude, they look up and one of these tackles is falling they really like. I wouldn't put it past them either. I think they're more along the lines of going for a developmental swing like a Travis Burke out of Memphis that they've had for a 30 visit, maybe in the 3rd, 4th round. But what have I said here? I've been saying 2nd, 3rd, 4th round, 2nd, 3rd, 4th round, 2nd, 3rd, 4th round for these 3 or 4 positions.
Right.
It's just going to be the juggle of the puzzle of this is who we think we got to take now. This is who's left. And that's what's going to be so fun about it for this particular draft for us as Falcons fans, is to see how they value it, how they play their cards, if they put on a poker face thinking they can wait or they think they can't. That's going to come down to this is what Cunningham gets paid the big bucks to do, Matt Ryan as well, and Stefanski.
Yeah, we got just a couple of questions for you. Just because you just talked about quarterback, we're going to get to that, and then we actually have a quarterback question. What do you feel about – and I actually have seen this corner linked to the Falcons, not only in mock drafts, but just little reports here and there that the Falcons could possibly like his size, length, and also the pedigree, playing for Ohio State. So, what do you tell me about Davidson and how you feel about him?
Yeah, Igbinosin, I mean, it's all about wanting the preference of his ability as a press man corner, very lengthy, 6'2", 190-pound kind of corner. He's one of those when you see him up close, haven't seen him at the Senior Bowl. He's got like those athletically thin legs. You know what I'm talking about? All that flex.
Yeah.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
So much skill with the play in front of him. You know, a lot of people like to talk about, wow, I think he'd be a demon at safety. Yes. And the gripe people are always going to have is that he is handsy. But you look at the improvement he had year over year. It's like 2 years ago, 14 penalties. This year, 5 penalties. It was a huge jump there. You can project some of his best football ahead of him. This is a 4.4, sub 4.4 kind of speed athlete. For where he projects as far as maybe a third, fourth rounder, that could be the value, particularly to throw into the expectations of competing with Hughes for the corner 2, worst case scenario, your corner 3 lead rotational, who you can develop here this year, the last year of the Hughes experiment as far as his contract, and then bump up opposite of Terrell. I like Igbinosun fine, particularly, like I said, if you've looked up and said, second, we couldn't say no to this defensive lineman. Third was the sweet spot for receiver. Now we're sitting here and he's there in the fourth, for example, and take him. So, no, I totally get that mentioned. And coming out of Ohio State, he's going to be as well coached as any in terms of practice on a daily basis. He's going against the best receiver talent in the country. Thought he looked fine at the Senior Bowl. There's good depth to this classic corner that it's not going to be urgent if they look up and they haven't done it in the second, the third. So, no, that's a great mention. He's definitely on the radar for Atlanta and would be a good fit.
Yeah, man. I really like that. I really like, honestly, like Smitty, me and Smitty have done like 2 mock drafts. And in both mock drafts, it seemed like the cornerback position was plentiful, especially back end of the third, going into the 4th round. It was one point to where we had like 5 corners that we could have took at any given time, and we would have been fine with any of those guys. So, yeah, I agree. The cornerback position is very plentiful.
Well,
But
I think he falls into Cunningham and Stefanski traditionally will like better size at a corner spot. I don't see them being the ones going for the D'Angelo Pons character as far as that at a boundary spot. He's got elite wingspan. He's got that speed I talked about. Good with the play in front of him, but has the speed as far as recovery. And look, he's got 50 starts at Ohio State in terms of being ready to roll.
Yeah, you can't sleep on that on experience at all. But how do you feel as far as quarterback position? Now, before you answer, I will give a little context. First of all, the measurables, he has them. I'm not going to lie to you, Tyler Green. He has the measurables. Now, he's projected right now because of the class of the quarterback and all the different skill positions that are just so, I would say, elite compared to the quarterback position this year. He is projected as a 5th to 6th round pick. But this is Mr. Tyler Green. Can you tell us anything about him and how do you like him?
Yeah, definitely. I don't see Green being an option for the Falcons, and the fact that the teams that are more urgent, someone will swing. There's been a lot of interest with the Jets. There's been some interest with the Steelers. There's been some interest with the Dolphins. I think of those 2-3 teams I mentioned, they're all going to take a pick as far as the second, third tier quarterbacks in this class, whether it's Taylor Green, Cole Payton out of North Dakota State, Drew Aller out of Penn State, Garrett Nussmeier out of LSU. Haven't seen Green up close to the Senior Bowl. Every bit is 6'6", 229. He looks like a little thin, tied in, a mammoth receiver. But the measurables are just off the charts. He's an incredible athlete. 4.3, 740, 43 and a half inch vertical. I mean, he's a freak show. This would be a pickup basketball nightmare.
Yes.
I think that the Falcons are more along the lines of taking a swing at one of these borderline get drafted, priority undrafted free agent quarterbacks. You've seen a 30 visit from Jack Strand out of Minnesota Moorhead. I know you hear that small school and you're like, what the hell is that?
Right.
I mean, 6'5", 243 pounds. As far as fitting in a tight window, I think he's as strong as any in this class. I got him at QB 14, which on average 13 go in a draft. So again, right on that, do they get drafted? Do they not? Somebody for a QB 3 price they'd be comfortable with. You also can mention the points of contact they've had with Haynes King out of Georgia Tech. It's kind of a utility quarterback. But those are just depth swings. I mean, look, Tua was the move to say we're going to have some insurance this year behind Penix. They've already done it. I don't see him investing capital any higher than, like I said, that 7th round priority free agent with only having 5 picks here. Green will get taken by somebody that wants to put more of a premium.
I can agree with that.
Agreed, 200%. And like I said too, you're not looking to rebuild a quarterback, and I'm gonna stand by it. You got really 2 young quarterbacks on the roster right now. So why go even younger again? It just doesn't make sense. If anything, you're gonna move up and go with a veteran at the next step. But go ahead.
I will tell you this though. Again, like we talk about players falling all the time. If somehow, some way, this guy ends up not being a draft selection and on the undrafted role, I would definitely at least sign him to that, because then you're still having that competition. And my thing is, you still are having a quarterback that you possibly can mold into somebody as well. We talk about continuously bringing in competition, even though I'm an advocate for Michael Penix because I want it to work out for him. Like, I do want the Hallmark story for the Atlanta Falcons when it comes to Michael Penix. I want it to work, but also just stepping outside of the fandom and the player and getting back to what's important, which is the logo. I want competent quarterback, not only for 1, 2, or 3 seasons. Matt Ryan honestly has us. Like, honestly, you don't realize what you have until it's gone. And now that Matt Ryan is gone and we've been in quarterback purgatory, it feels like ever since he said, I'm going to the Colts. And so, hey, guys, I'm just saying I'm ready to win, and we got to think about it. If a quarterback is there, just like Clint said, it's a possibility. Like that quarterback number 14, he could end up being the Atlanta Falcons, at least bringing him into training camp to compete. I mean, what's it going to hurt? Absolutely nothing.
Nothing. But Clint, is there a player that you're watching right now that you're saying, man, if he could slip anyway on day 3, and I think he can come in and produce right away? Is there a player you looking at?
Already mentioned Amari Harvey. I really like him out of Georgia Tech at that corner spot. I do think he gets looked at very seriously at 215. I think linebacker could be another spot that they go for it. Like Jack Kelly, linebacker out of BYU. He really is more of that blitz backer, similarly to what we had in Caden Ellis.
Yep.
I mean, 17 and a half sacks the last 3 years. His quarterback pressures rival that of an edge, tested as a 96th percentile athlete in Indianapolis. He's a fun one to throw in there. You've seen a 30 visit out of Justin Jefferson, linebacker out of Alabama, who's a little under sub 6'1" in terms of height, 223 pounds. But we've seen kind of that lighter, speedier linebacker preference in the addition of Channing Tindall and Christian Harris in free agency. I could see that being a swing if he were to fall. I think that though his stock is rising across the league, I've already mentioned it, but I really, really like Travis Burke out of Memphis. 6'9", 325 pounds, and he is mean. I mean, he is mean in the run game, getting to the second level, 34-plus inch arms. Not just one of these big guys that's got a lot of work to do, is really that athletic. Upwards of 50 starts in his time there, has started 45 games, 30 at left tackle, the remaining at right tackle. So there's the swing ability. I think that's another one to throw out there. And then you look at some of the receivers. I mean, they've had 30 visits with Kevin Coleman out of Missouri.
Yep. They like him.
Yeah, 5'10", 179, real twitchy field stretcher. I see the comment about Red Murdoch.
Yep, I was going to ask you. I had it on my list.
Yeah, that's another example as far as, like I said, with the linebacker, if that's one they have to wait. In terms of productivity, particularly in tackles, Murdoch's got it as good as any. My only question with him would just be, I think Ulbrich has made it very clear he wants hyper athletes at linebacker. So I don't think that pertains quite as much to Murdoch. I think if they're looking on day 3 to take a swing at linebacker, he wants that uber athlete. He wants that guy. You know, we've talked about them signing Malik Vernon as a priority free agent out of Iowa State as a safety, converted him to linebacker. They've done it with Divine Diablo as a former safety, converted to linebacker.
Absolutely.
We've gotten the sub 4.5 running free agent linebackers this year. We let Caden Ellis walk, who's been a top 7 tackler in the NFL the last 3 years, but he's not a great athlete. He's a great football player.
That's
He's
true.
not a great athlete.
Right.
So I don't know. I wouldn't imagine Murdoch as far as Atlanta, but I do like him. It's a great mention.
Yeah, I like Murdoch a lot, man. Honestly, just the production that you have there. But also, I think another one of his knocks is about the man coverage as well too. I know like he's had a little bit of struggles in there. Now you could possibly scheme for that, but you got to have the players, in the right positions to be able to kind of like make sure he doesn't get, I guess, isolated and just be like, okay, that is the guy that we got to make sure we attack every single time, and there's nothing that they can do about it. But yeah, I like Red Murdoch a lot, man. Smitty, what you got?
Last draft question I have before we get into the next topic.
Mhm.
Is there a trade scenario you're looking at in the top 10 that you think could happen on Thursday night?
Mm.
Great question. I think Dallas is interested, particularly if one of those Ohio State defenders is there. I think it's Sonny Styles they really like. They would know they'd have to get ahead of Washington at 7. I think teams that could be interested as far as that are primarily, I think, Cleveland at 6 if he's there, or if you see an Arvell Reese fall some. There will be some kind of activity as far as the top 10. I would probably say I think Dallas could trade up. Um, if I were to have to guess off the top of the head right now, I think it goes Mendoza, Bailey to the Jets. Though I think the logic says tackle to Arizona, it sounds like a lot of the smoke is Jeremiah Love. That would open up for Tennessee, I think, to possibly take a Styles. The Giants, I think that could be a Caleb Down spot. So what did I just say? Arvell Reese is still there. Somebody would go take a swing. I think Dallas could be one. And though it's further down, if I had to pick a dark horse trade up candidate, I'd stay in the division. I could see if the Panthers like somebody in particular, them getting aggressive.
Mm.
I really do. I think they are closer than maybe even we said we are. You've seen that in the amount of money they spent on a Jalen Phillips to go get that pass rusher they consider of that kind of brand.
Mm-hmm.
So I think particularly in this draft where there's not as much high-end talent, teams are going to see their fall-offs as far as the tiers and have their guy not afraid to go get them. But no, if I had to answer it, I'd stick with Dallas in that 4, 5, 6 range.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason I asked that question is because I just been thinking the Cardinals, they're in the sweet spot. They could trade back and still get a top offensive tackle if they need it. And I could see them trying to get the 2 first-round picks from Kansas City, and I've been saying that for a while. Because you get the offensive tackle at 9, then back of the first round, I'm looking at Ty Simpson, and I've seen a lot of people say that. And it actually makes sense because they still don't have a quarterback of the future. Are they going to waste another season and wait out and let Marvin Harrison go into a contract year and end up possibly losing him? So I think you got to think about quarterback at some point in this draft if you're Arizona.
Kansas City is a great mention there too with Arizona. Them picking at 9, that's so unconventional, and that's territory they're not going to come back to. Having Mahomes' health, if they fall in love with it, but David Bailey's there. If they fall in love with the thought of there's a particular tackle they got to have, I could totally see that. If they fall in love with a Jordan Tyson or a receiver along those lines, I could see it. They have the flexibility to do it, particularly with the comfort of having that 29th overall pick. And agree with you completely as far as Arizona. I mean, look, that team's not winning next year.
Mm-hmm.
The team's not winning next year with Matt LaFleur coming in as a first-year head coach. They currently got no better quarterback than Jacoby Brissett. They got a ton of needs, particularly defensively. They need a tackle opposite of Paris Johnson. Now, let's say they do trade back to 9, such as what you said. I think Mawanoa is likely gone. You'll have one tackle gone. I mean, we're talking about names like Monroe Freeland out of Georgia, Caden Proctor out of Alabama, Blake Miller out of Clemson, Max Ahanator out of Arizona State. The list goes on and on. Caleb Lomu out of Utah, Spencer Fano out of Utah. There's going to be a serious tackle run in round 1, but at 9th overall, you can get ahead of it, be there as far as the second or third option. That'd work out for both parties. I agree. I think that's an ideal situation. I mean, I said that a lot of the smoke for them is Jeremiah Love. I think that's moronic, personally, with all the needs you have. You take him 3rd overall, he'll be a top 5 paid running back in the NFL, and you just signed Tyler Algier, who's proven he can be a running back 1. You just
Right.
signed James Conner to another year. You got Trey Benson. I think that's a whole lot of ownership getting their hands in the cookie jar when they need to get out of the kitchen. But that's not surprising with Bidwell. So we'll see. But no, logically speaking, you're absolutely right. I'd hope to see something like that. I think I'd spice it up.
Mm-hmm. I know Miss Drea Mack has a question here. She said, Ian said there are other ways of jumping up to get a player we would highly covet. What are some of the ways that the Falcons can move up to get said player?
Trade Kyle Pitts.
There you go. and it's so funny because that's really what we were about to go into next. Yeah, man. You got assets. I mean, not just Kyle Pitts. You got Jesse Bates out there. You never know. It could be a player that we're not even looking at that the Falcons could be like, well, nah, the Falcons will probably keep that player. The next thing you know, boom, because the right deal came about. But yes, the Falcons and Kyle Pitts, there are more rumors that have came out about Kyle Pitts that the Falcons are actually open and listening. But Ian has already said that multiple times, that it's my job to listen. Teams can call and we're going to listen. But he also made that clear about not just Kyle Pitts, but for any player. So he is just letting you know that, hey, if teams are calling, I'm at least going to listen to see what the offer is. And, I feel like that's fair. I really feel like that's fair. But my thing is, Clint, you just said to trade Kyle Pitts. Like, what teams do you think could use Kyle Pitts the most and probably give some of the best draft capital for the Atlanta Falcons in return?
Man, off the top of the head, I could see a team like New England being interested. I could see a team like,
How do you feel about Denver? I've seen Denver be mentioned.
Yeah, the only thing about Denver would just be that they already don't have the first rounder at the bottom, so it would have to be up until like 62. And for that value, I don't, in this draft and projecting who you'd get, I think I'd lean towards just keeping him. That's the thing. It's going to be such a niche market as far as you're not going to get. If it were a first-round pick for Pitts, I think it's right there at the bottom. For a team that's similar to like the Jalen Waddle trade, where the Broncos looked up and were like, we're close, we can contend next year, and whoever we're going to get at this pick isn't going to bump us enough right now to take a run at it in the next year or two. So we'll make that move with you for a Waddle. I would think it'd have to be closer to that with Pitts. And then if you looked at the picks ahead of you at 48, it would get particular. But no, I mean, the only truly untradeable players on this team is Bijan, probably Chris Lindstrom.
Yep.
And that's about the hell it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm gonna stick to what I said. I did a video on this about a week ago, and it was a trade that was put out in the air, and it actually made a whole lot of sense. Tennessee Titans rebuilding, $64 million in cap space. Cam Ward, young quarterback, needs weapons. They lost their best tight end to free agency. Kyle Pitts for a second and a fourth round next year. I can absolutely see that twice a day, twice on Sundays. Because if you get a second rounder for Kyle Pitts, you could possibly transfer that into more picks in this draft, or possibly another pick for next year's draft. So Tennessee, to me, just makes a whole lot of sense because it's a new start for him. And let's be real, Calvin Ridley is not Calvin Ridley anymore. So tight ends, quarterback, best friend, Tennessee to me would be a home run.
Well, and going off of that Tennessee mention, the second rounder would be 35th overall. It's like, that's a difference maker. It's like, okay, so you're sitting here at 35, 48, and 79. Yeah, you assume one of those three, you go get a receiver. So when we talk about Pitts in a lot of ways being a pseudo receiver too on this team behind London and what we have seen, and then the pseudo receiving ability that we have gotten from Bijan almost as a receiver there. You go throw a Jeremy Bernard, you go throw a Ted Hurst, you go throw a Zachariah Branch or somebody along those lines. Fits that. Look at another tight end to bring in later on. I totally get it. And, yeah, you have the 35th pick. Yeah, you get your hands on a Kristen Miller. Yeah, you can go maybe get your hands on a Caden McDonald as far as wanting that big man. You might can go get your hands on who's left as far as those tackles. It's like, yeah, do you look up in a Blake Miller and a Hanachor, et cetera, is there? No, that's a great mention as far as that would turn you there. And for us to say, oh, we didn't have a first-round pick this year. Oh, we didn't have a first-round pick this year.
Still getting a first-round talent.
Yes, sir.
The variance between, say, the 16th guy in this draft and the 50th guy in this draft is not very wide. It's like, so
Yeah.
to say that you had 35, 48, and 79, 3 top 80 picks, it's like, yeah, you could just about talk yourself into falling asleep and thinking that you had a first-round pick this year. No, that'd be totally interesting. And, we've had that contact with the Titans in the past. You mentioned Ridley. That's a good one.
Julio, yeah.
Yep, Julio went over
That was the other one I was trying to think of. Thank you.
Harry Douglas went over there.
I was trying to say.
Harry Douglas.
Harry Douglas went over there. It's funny.
Yeah, so it makes sense.
But
before you go, Chris, D'Angelo said, "Do you think Cal is inconsistent, or did he just not thrive in Zach Robinson offensive scheme?"
I think our quarterbacks suck. I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, look, you see him go to the Pro Bowl with Matt Ryan as a rookie.
Oh, boy.
Last year, between Cousins and Penix, and that being that much better than what we had in a Mariota, what we had in a Ritter. I think actually having the help with the receiving production you got out of Bijan that you had in a Drake London, I don't think I get the fluctuation as far as Pitts and the fact that they've given him the 5th-year option but not extended him. I think that is a testament to Cunningham and company wanting to see him stack 2 consecutive years, particularly with anticipated, equivalent or better quarterback play from last year. But I think it'd be hard to pin that on Robinson, considering, Pitts had nearly 1,000-yard receiving year last year and made the Pro Bowl. So I wouldn't pin that on him. I think it's just been quarterback play has been not good.
Mm-hmm.
It is
fair. That's definitely fair. Just adding to the Kyle Pitts conversation. Now I know that they just extended tight end, but I can still possibly see the Ravens, if everything falls into place, possibly the Ravens taking a swing at Kyle Pitts. And the only reason why I say that is because I feel like the Ravens still, after multiple seasons, after taking Zay Flowers and all those guys, like, Bateman, all those guys, I still feel like they have an identity crisis as far as like their number one guy. And Kyle Pitts possibly could go up there, be converted to like a wide receiver type. And, next thing you know, him and Lamar are making music.
Well, and all the success that they have with Isaiah Likely the last few years, and really right when he was coming into the sweet spot of it, having to let him walk out the door to follow Harbaugh to the Giants. So I see it from that standpoint. Mark Andrews can't play forever. Zay Flowers is a great player, but he can't be a one by himself. Bateman, it's time to look up and accept that was a miss. It's okay. Move on. You went with the Hollywood Brown experiment. That didn't happen. He's gone. I totally get that too. And it'll be really interesting to see. We talked about in the first round, us kind of crossing our fingers like, oh, I hope that guy doesn't go. I hope that guy doesn't go. In this scenario, you're saying we need to really be hoping they don't take Kenyon Sadiq out of Oregon at 14 and they go elsewhere.
Ooh, boy, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Wow.
That is a good one. But the only reason why I would say they wouldn't do that, they need a guard bad. I mean, their offensive line has been banged up so much the last 2-3 years.
Vega's the dream out of Penn State.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. So, yeah, I agree with that. But, yeah, the Baltimore Ravens, I could definitely see that. But for some reason, I just still think, they're going to go with the way they've been running things with using Lamar legs and Derrick Henry. And they do need an offensive weapon, but they got to protect Lamar. So I feel like, offensive line to me.
Absolutely for the taking. Absolutely. It's their
absolutely
division to lose.
Absolutely.
Going back to our Burrow conversation to start this, it's like, look, the Steelers have been in that kind of 9-8 purgatory. What have they done to change it? Yeah, they went and got Michael Pittman Jr. That was a great addition.
Mm-hmm.
but that's not about to scare Jesse Minter coming into town with everything at the Ravens and some of the moves they're about to get to make here in the draft, having the 14th pick, the 45th pick. And we talked about this trade conversation. It's like, yeah, if you looked up and said you had 45 and 48, 2 top 50 picks, let's party.
Man.
Yeah, and another thing too, Metabuke just had neck surgery, so it's career threatening. I could see Caden McDonald there. I just talked about him not too long ago.
That's my dream. That's my dream pick for them. That's what because McDonald's one of my favorite players in the class. And when I say one of my favorites, I mean like top 3, top 5 favorites.
That's dope.
Yeah, as far as just complete run stuff for 6'3", 326. I think his floor is as high as any player in this class. In 7, 8, 10 years, we're going to look up worst case scenario and go, man, that guy's a really good run defending nose tackle.
And Clint, he reminds me a lot of Halati Noda, former Baltimore Raven defensive tackle, and that's why I had him pinned out. They playing styles are very similar.
Hey, and I'd like to see him do it because I don't want him to be on the board when Carolina at 19 sniffs.
Boy, man,
next to Derrick Brown.
Derrick Brown would take bodies, man.
Oh no, absolutely not. We don't need that. I'm not gonna lie, because Carolina, I'll give them their credit. They have been making moves the past really 3 seasons. I know Derrick Brown got hurt in the middle of one of those, so it kind of was a step back around the defensive line for them. But they have made moves, and I think that you were correct. I think in their minds, they think they're closer than the Falcons, which of course that's easy to do when you win the division and you go and get a playoff game, and arguably you could have won the playoff game, if things would have bounced your way, and execution would have been better. So it's almost like feeling like the Panthers almost feel in the same realm, not the same team, but in the same realm as maybe the Rams. Hey man, let's go get this player, let's go get that player, let's go do this because we're close. We're in the postseason, so that means we're closer than most. And so I could definitely see that. And oh man, I would never want to see McDonald on that defensive line with Derrick Brown. That just would be unfair. And especially when we got a guy like Bijan trying to get him up through there. Those guys are going to take up a lot of space. But I got a question for you that's not even pertaining to football. I want to know. Oh, well, first of all, hold on. Let's bring it back up. Because he said, I would hate to lose Pitts, though. Yeah, I mean, I would too. But feel like he's finally becoming what we thought he would be when we drafted him. Like he's about to go into his prime, man. And I mean, the thing about it that's so crazy, we don't know that for sure. I'm with you. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm with you as far as like possibly could be going into his prime. But the fact is, like it was kind of like similar with Terry Fontenot, what I was just saying about, yes, Terry his last 2 drafts were good, but it still didn't produce it into any wins, for you. So that's why Terry's not here. It could be in a crazy vacuum in a situation like that, but
I don't want to lose Pitts. I'd like to keep Pitts. I agree with that statement, but I'm also not going to sit here and cry if Cunningham says, I didn't draft this guy and I see an opportunity to get a pick, and that's kind of my identity is I want volume of picks. I want youth. I want to flip this thing over foundationally, and we think that we can get more pound for pound money wise in terms of the production at tight end. That's one I more so put my trust into. But no, I don't want to lose Pitts. I'd love to see Pitts on this team next year and beyond. But I'm open to the fact that if we want to make moves to get more draft picks this year,
it's perfect.
You got to do something.
You got to do something.
And who else is of the value? It's like, okay, who else are you moving? Maybe Bates to a contender, but there's not. You don't have that youth aspect. It'd be somebody taking.
But that to me, that's a day 3 pick for Bates.
Exactly.
That's my point. Yeah.
And in this draft, that's not going to be enough fluctuation. It's like if you want to get a legitimate day 2 second round kind of pick, Pitts is the only person really to do it, other than somebody that for this commenter you would like even less. It's like, okay, well, we're going to put Drake London in there. You really are going to feel
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying right there. Drake London, Chris Lindstrom, can you imagine trading him? I mean, I'm pretty sure you're going to get a first round pick, but still, you just lost a very important piece that shouldn't be traded. But and I've been on this the whole time though, Clint. Thank you, Miss Drea. See what I'm talking about? That's what I'm talking about right there. Comments on demand. Because this is where I've been. Until Kyle Pitts is running out there week 1, I really believe that he's going to get traded. I mean, because you can't pay everybody. That's the only reason why I feel like that. If you're talking about prioritizing Drake, if you're talking about definitely prioritizing Bijan, right now, who would be the odd man out? It would be Kyle Pitts to me.
If Bijan is staying in town, he's going to be the top paid running back in the NFL.
Facts, $25 million. I stand on that. I absolutely. But there's a tight end in the draft. This is my last comment. Justin Jolly out of NC State to me would be an ideal replacement for Kyle Pitts. Point blank, period.
That's a good pull, Smitty. How you feel about it?
I think going all the way back to the end of January, early February, I had a tweet verbatim that was quote for quote saying, I am convinced Justin Joly is the Falcons' replacement for Pitts should he be moved. They bring him in for a 30 visit here in the last day or two, a 30 visits. That's a dot to look at. Tell you the biggest dot to look at of colleges visited by Falcon scouts this college football season. Who was number 1? NC State.
NC State. Yep.
That's true.
I interviewed Jolie at the Senior Bowl. Real well-spoken guy. Kind of smaller build. And when I say smaller, I mean like a Pitts in terms of you're looking at him and you're like, this isn't an inline blocker. This guy's a motion tight end receiver. In terms of where the draft capital lines up in needing him, it falls in those 4th-round pick we would need to use for him. No, I'm gung-ho. If they are to trade Pitts, I'd circle Jolie and Sharpie. That I think that's who they're targeting. And again, look at like we at the beginning of the episode, I talked about giving themselves different areas to go, if we don't see this in the 2nd, we see it in the 3rd, we see it in the 4th. Right. No, he's absolutely circled if they were to move Pitts. That's a fantastic mention. I could not agree more. If Pitts is moved, no doubt in my mind, Jolie is who that they want to go after.
Facts.
Miss Carrie, thank you for the donation. Too. Appreciate it. She said, Clint, great Twitter follow. Absolutely.
Very familiar. Thank you.
Yeah, man. I'm trying to tell you, like, again, this is our guy, man, when it comes to just talking about these players and scouting and everything like that, man. Clint has so much insight. If you're not following him on Twitter, NFL Draft Dome on Twitter, make sure that you are giving him a follow, a retweet, and possibly even a comment.
Facts.
Yeah, man. My last question. Oh, what you got, Smitty?
I was going to say, y'all go to YouTube right now. The link is in the chat. It's somewhere at the top. Y'all please go over there. Subscribe to his channel. Like his videos. He put out a great video of what he would do in the 1st round. Put it out today. Y'all please go check it out. Great video. And go ahead, Chris.
My last question for Clint is, outside of football, man, or are you strictly a football guy, or is it other sports that you like outside of football?
Yeah, no, it's strictly football, particularly from a knowledge standpoint. I've lived in Roswell here the last 5-6 years. So do follow the Braves and enjoy that. But no, it's been all football. I grew up with season tickets to the Dogs my whole life. And then I've had a couple seasons having season tickets to the Falcons and covering the team for different outlets, along with covering the draft for all 32 teams. But no, it's been football for pretty much all of it. That's definitely where my knowledge is. The drop off from a knowledge standpoint from football to say like baseball would be jumping off the cliff or driving a Cadillac off of it. So no, that is a fair question.
Yeah, man. Okay, there, man. There it is, right there, man. This man is football all the time with a little sprinkle of the Braves.
365.
Yeah, man. Speaking of my Braves, man, what we doing? Cause we were down 4-2. Oh my Lord, Braves, what is going on?
Just one of them days, bro.
Of course it is. You know, the Braves been winning me some money though lately, so I guess I can accept the loss today, possibly. But my goodness, But thank you again for the super chats, everybody. Hey, man, again, this has been a great show, mostly because of everybody in the chat, man. If we didn't get to your comments, it's not anything personal. It's just one of those things. You know how it goes. Please continue to drop comments. You know, we're always trying our best to get as many up here as possibly can while still giving the guests the proper respect, because, you know, we're we're pretty upstanding and outstanding guys. And
well, hey, I'd cut in on that and say, for me to have been doing a lot of these guest spots, either YouTube, podcast, radio, news, whatever, the last few years, this is my favorite show to guest spot on with this crowd and the two of you.
Appreciate you.
I even said that to my wife when Chris texted me and was like, "Oh, hey, 8 o'clock tonight." And I had kind of forgotten for a second. I was like, "Oh my God." I said, "I got a show at 8. I forgot." And I said, "Yeah, but this is my favorite one to guest spot on. So I'll be ready to go for it." So I'm always open to come back and like coming back here anytime in the future. This is a great crowd y'all have here.
Hey, man, really appreciate it. Really do appreciate that. We work hard, man. We really do work hard to not only just bring our audience the best, but also, to make sure we give, all our guests the proper respect and, and everything like that, So, hey, man, that just means a lot. We really appreciate that. We really needed that.
Appreciate it. Yeah, 200%.
Yep, love to hear that. And make sure, again, y'all following Clint, but he's about to let y'all know exactly where all you can follow him because Clint, please, by all means, let the people know where they can follow you.
Yeah, one-stop shop for anything I do is Twitter. I'm very active there. Been there for some time now at my namesake, Clint Goss, or at NFL Draft Dome. And then, like I said, though I've been doing this for years as far as guest spots, I am pretty new to the personal YouTube game. So go check it out over there. I'm a little bit of inspiration, like I said, from this being my favorite show to guest spot on. Kind of got my own going at NFL Draft Dome. That'll be NFL draft content year wide for all 32 teams, but also a little special focus as far as the Falcons. I describe it best to people as if you pull for the Falcons, you'll love it. And if you don't care about the Falcons at all, it's not enough to bother you. That'll be 365, particularly the next few days. It's going to be hopping. It's like I told my kid's sitter. I told my kid's sitter this afternoon before she left. She was like, "Oh, when do you need me for Friday? Oh, when do you need me for Thursday?" And I just told her, I was like, "I need you the whole damn time here Thursday, Friday, and Saturday because I'm not going to be able to look away from it." This is the best next couple of days for me as far as what I do. So, yeah, no, go give it a look. As far as the YouTube where it's at, it's only going to get bigger and better, given that more attention here. Kind of like I said, I've been over at Twitter for a couple years now, but going to put some time into the YouTube here. So I can get on the level of you guys potentially someday. So
we want you to be
tell
better.
Me I'm their favorite on there,
Hey, we want you to be better. That's what we aim for. We want you to be better than us. Ms. Drill, thank you for the donation again. Truly appreciate it. Again, man, we working on some things behind the scenes to bring y'all a great interview next week. We're gonna see how it goes, and I'll give y'all an update on that soon. And if y'all see the thumbnail and the show out there, y'all know it's gonna be great. And hey, who knows if it goes through? I would love to have Clint on again because in this business, man, it's all about connections and who you know. And sometimes, man, you just got to help people get to where you are so they can keep growing and become great because that's what life about, helping others. It's not always about you. It's about what you can do because that's the Christ thing to do. Keep that in mind, somebody. But, yeah, Miss Drill said, thank you, Clint. She appreciates you. And Melvin said he loved the channel. But again, man, y'all know where to find me right here on Smitty Sports Machine. Also find me on Twitter at fatboyslim_21. I'm always over there blowing it up because that's what I do all the time. And again, I'm still debating if I'm going to do a draft show on Friday. I'm still thinking about it. But we'll see how it turns out. If I can go, y'all will see us right here on the channel. And if not, trust me, I'm going to give y'all my thoughts on the pick from the second round all the way to the seventh round.
Y'all do let me know. I'd love to hop on for that Friday.
Okay.
So, hey, there you have it. If we can do it, hey, you'll see us 3 again on Friday. Because if we got somebody as knowledgeable as Clint that's talking, about the draft picks that we get, hey, I'm all for it.
Won't be afraid to come in here and sing their praises. Won't be afraid to come in here and start tearing some ass if I'm not happy.
Hey, man, that's what we're all about, man. Just keeping it real.
Hey, keep it real. That's how you do it.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. But Chris, you know what to do, man. Go on, do your thing. Take us on out.
Hey, man, A1 Forever Sports. That is the platform on YouTube. Please come over and like, comment, subscribe. Be a part of the A1 family. Love to have you there. Also, you can catch me as the Hawk at the Hawks Digest. Now, I will admit, right now I'm in the process of getting another computer. We got some new software, and I got to get it. I got to have it. So in the process of that. So that's why if you guys have been looking for me on there, I'm in the process. Give me a minute. You know, I say computers cost. But catch me at the Hawks Digest as well, man. These Atlanta Hawks, they upset. A lot of people are calling it an upset. People in Atlanta, we just know better. And the Atlanta Hawks, they were able to take care of the New York Knicks. So always catch me at the Hawks Digest. Also, Twitter, A1 Forever, Instagram, A1 Forever, and the real A1 Forever on TikTok. Make sure you guys find your peace today. That is positive energy, always creating elevation, and that's how you find your peace. Make sure you get it because it's 9:18. If you ain't found it by now, I don't know what you're doing. Go to the gym.
You gotta wait till tomorrow. That's what they're gonna have to do. But
hey,
6'7",
like Pop used to say, push-ups.
That's what I'm saying. But 6'7", we haven't heard any news on it, but I'm sure news coming in the next 24 hours. And you know, if news drops, I'm gonna keep y'all updated. Me and Chris.
I can give you a tad bit of something. Apparently, like we're waiting on to see if there's going to be a plea deal reached by April 23rd. And if not, then apparently there could be a trial date. I'm not sure what that may be sometime in May, early part of May as well. So we're going to see, man. That's going to be interesting exactly what happens with that situation. I really hate that it's been such a dark cloud over the Falcons, regardless. Because, you know, our premier pass rusher, 10.5 sacks. And, again, we're just going to have to see. We're just going to see because I know everybody's been talking about James Pierce Jr. within the Falcons organization. They're just saying we're just going to let everything play itself out. So I highly believe that they're going to continue to do such because they've already been doing it.
Facts. Ms. Dre, again, thank you for your donation. But Chris, we're going to roll on out. And we're going to see y'all. Probably going to see y'all Friday. We're going to try to make it happen for sure. All right. But go ahead.
All right, y'all. Until next time, peace and blessings to you all. And to you all, go Falcons.
Peace.